After successfully becoming a true god, Luo Feng's entire body underwent a fundamental transformation as his blood, flesh, skin, bones, and even deeper life structure began to evolve at the source level. His body turned dark, black mist continuously surrounded him, and a second head emerged, each head possessing a single bloody eye that emitted the oppressive aura of a sector beast. This transformation confirmed that he had perfectly fused two completely different cultivation paths, the cultivator lineage and the sector beast lineage. As a result, his life gene level reached an unprecedented 100.000 times. Combining the characteristics of universe masters, true gods, void true gods, and sector beasts into a single existence. However, unlike true sector beasts, Luo Feng did not merely imitate their power. He could truly convert his internal divine energy into sector beast energy at will. Even so, there were still clear limitations. He could not alter the essence of his soul. Nor could he gain abilities such as splitting into countless independent bodies or producing endless armies like real sector beasts. At the same time, Luo Feng also mastered a supreme technique called invisible and formless, which allowed him to completely conceal his life force, perfectly adjust his aura, and even transform into other beings, objects, or materials. He demonstrated this ability repeatedly by transforming into sector beast Morosa, primal chaos city leader, 9 remoteness true master, blood orchid ancestor, a treasure spaceship, and even an ordinary floating rock drifting in space. He could even simulate fundamental materials such as flesh, metal, and plant life. However, he still could not perfectly replicate beings with extremely special wills or unique life essences, as such existences were beyond full imitation. Through this, Luo Feng realized this transformation ability was even more advanced than limitless divine body expansion or size alteration techniques. Yet it still had a critical weakness. If space was completely sealed or he was trapped within a confined domain, then all transformations would lose their practical value, since he would have no room to maneuver or escape. Meanwhile, Morosa met again with the 9-headed demon master and confirmed several past events. After dismissing him, Morosa fell into extreme madness and despair. It finally realized a painful truth. It could neither kill Luo Feng nor achieve the goal of becoming the ultimate sector beast king. Stripped of all hope for survival in the normal sense, it abandoned rational evolutionary logic and chose a path of pure revenge. Morosa then transmitted a shocking message across the entire sector beast hive, revealing Luo Feng's identity as the Milky Way Horde leader, who had once defeated it when Luo Feng was still a universe master, and who had now become even more terrifying as a true god. It warned all sector beasts that Luo Feng was a catastrophic enemy who could not be ignored. The message quickly spread throughout the land of darkness, shaking the entire hive civilization. All sector beasts were stunned that a being from the original universe could grow to such a level and even overpower Morosa itself. Luo Feng's name was firmly engraved into their collective memory. Even the powerful sector beast leader Betty reacted with cold and dangerous intent after receiving the news, recognizing Luo Feng as a future existential threat that could not be ignored. At the same time, Morosa turned its attention to the miniature universes located outside the original universe. After observing Teacher Origin's miniature universe, it quickly judged it to be relatively weak because it lacked complete willpower protection from its owner. It decided this would be the easiest target to devour and began executing its plan. Its intention was not only destruction, but also to use this attack to create chaos among humanity and lure Luo Feng into a vulnerable position. Teacher Origin soon sensed the attack and appeared urgently within the virtual universe to inform Primal Chaos City leader and Darkness True God. He reported that a sector beast was currently devouring the origin of his miniature universe. Because his willpower was being suppressed, he could not fully protect the universe's origin, and he estimated that nearly 80% of it could be consumed within just 1 hour. If that happened, he would permanently lose the foundation needed to ever reach the void space true god level. Hearing this, Primal Chaos City leader immediately issued an emergency order through the virtual universe, summoning all human true gods to rush to Teacher Origin's miniature universe. Teacher Origin was not an ordinary figure. He was one of the earliest leaders of the human race, the creator of the virtual universe, and a foundational pillar who had nurtured countless generations of experts. His miniature universe was therefore of extreme importance to the entire human race. Luo Feng, who at that time was guarding rampaging devil god's miniature universe, received the urgent message from his teacher. Upon learning that Teacher Origin's universe origin could be devoured up to 80% in just 1 hour, he was deeply shocked. Normally, a miniature universe could resist Sector Beast devouring for many days. But without the owner's willpower protection, its defenses collapsed dramatically. Without hesitation, Luo Feng immediately set off at maximum speed, continuously teleporting through space. Because of his extraordinarily strong universe origin and true god-level control, his teleportation distance had already reached a level comparable to a void space true god, allowing him to rush back in just over an hour. Meanwhile, Morosa continued its devouring process inside Teacher Origin's miniature universe. Without any willpower resistance, its efficiency increased dramatically compared to normal conditions. However, before it could fully complete its consumption, Primal Chaos City Leader and more than 30 true gods arrived simultaneously and launched a furious counterattack. Primal Chaos City Leader activated a powerful binding treasure that released endless green light, greatly slowing all of Morosa's movements and restricting its bodies. Peng Gong True God unleashed an endless ocean that trapped a large number of Morosa's clones, while Darkness True God transformed his cloak into a vast sea of darkness that engulfed the battlefield and suppressed space itself. Every true god present attacked with full force, determined to stop the destruction of Teacher Origin's universe. In response, Morosa immediately merged its 99 bodies into a single form to resist the concentrated attacks, reducing damage efficiency. Then, at the critical moment, it split apart again and forcefully escaped. Even though it was heavily restrained and had lost roughly 1/3 of its remaining strength, it still managed to break through the encirclement. However, instead of retreating completely, Morosa became even more obsessed with its objective and quickly returned to continue devouring the universe origin. The Human Alliance quickly realized that Morosa's goal was not direct combat but continuous erosion. Therefore, they decided to remain near the miniature universe for long-term defense. Soon after, Teacher Origin reported again that Morosa had returned and resumed its devouring process. Guided by his coordinates, the true gods repeatedly rushed toward the battlefield whenever it appeared. However, Morosa adopted an extremely evasive strategy. It would only devour the universe origin for a few seconds at a time before instantly teleporting away to another region of the miniature universe and continuing its consumption elsewhere. This made it extremely difficult for the true gods to catch it in a single coordinated strike, forcing them into constant pursuit. To counter this hit-and-run tactic, Primal Chaos City Leader reorganized the defense system by dividing the true gods into 10 separate teams stationed at different regions around the miniature universe. This arrangement allowed at least one group to reach Morosa more quickly whenever it appeared. However, even with this improved coordination, no single team possessed enough strength to decisively injure or kill Morosa on its own. Morosa, now completely driven by obsession, ignored all risks and focused entirely on repeatedly consuming the universe origin. Even if it could only devour for 1 or 2 seconds at a time, it continued without hesitation. Its sole objective was the complete destruction of Teacher Origin's miniature universe, regardless of cost. At this critical moment, Luo Feng finally arrived. After receiving precise coordinates from Primal Chaos City Leader, he teleported directly toward Morosa's location. His teleportation range was so powerful that it even exceeded Morosa's own movement capabilities, allowing him to close the distance rapidly. The moment Luo Feng appeared, Morosa immediately recognized him. Without any hesitation, Luo Feng activated the Star Tower. The supreme treasure expanded violently, and a massive dark whirlpool formed beneath it, covering several square light-years of space. Under the terrifying suppression of the Star Tower, Morosa instantly felt an overwhelming force locking onto its entire existence. Despite struggling with all its strength and activating its bloodlight technique, it could not break free. Even techniques that had once allowed it to escape combined restraints were now completely ineffective. The Star Tower alone was enough to suppress it entirely. Morosa was forcibly dragged into the endless darkness at the base of the tower and swallowed into its internal space. The battlefield, which had been in chaos for so long, finally fell into silence. Outside the sealed battlefield, all human true gods, including Primal Chaos City Leader and Darkness True God, watched in shock as Luo Feng controlled the Star Tower. They were deeply aware of how terrifying a Sector Beast was, especially one that could use blood light techniques and evade multiple top experts. Yet Luo Feng had captured it in an instant without any visible struggle. This level of power clearly showed that after becoming a true god, Luo Feng had reached a completely new realm of strength, far beyond what they had previously understood. Luo Feng himself also felt a deeper understanding of the Star Tower. He realized that its true power far exceeded his previous expectations, especially after his recent breakthroughs in chaos comprehension, which had pushed his techniques to an unprecedented peak among all true gods in the universe ocean. After the battle ended, while the others began to withdraw and regroup, Luo Feng brought Morosa into a suppression space inside the Star Tower. He then returned to his own miniature universe, where he could exert maximum control through the universe origin, ensuring that Morosa remained completely sealed and unable to escape. Inside the Star Tower, Morosa acknowledged Luo Feng's overwhelming power and admitted that even if it had remained a level 3 sector beast, escape would have been impossible. It revealed its original plan in detail. It had expected Luo Feng to stay far away guarding another miniature universe. And during that window it intended to repeatedly devour the origin of the primal universe, within just a few days. It could have consumed more than half of the origin, completely ruining any chance for Teacher Origin to achieve a breakthrough. However, Luo Feng's return far exceeded its expectations due to his terrifying teleportation ability, allowing Morosa to consume less than 10% before being stopped. Although Morosa still harbored thoughts of revenge, it stated that it no longer cared about the outcome because it was only a level 2 sector beast. Yet it warned Luo Feng that a far greater catastrophe was approaching for humanity and the entire universe ocean. Immediately afterward, it attempted to self-destruct, but Luo Feng suppressed it instantly using 3 layers of power: Shi Wu Wing's single thought void space, the Star Tower's sealing force, and the origin power of his miniature universe, completely preventing even suicide. This left Morosa both furious and shocked, as it realized Luo Feng's strength had reached a level where even a sector beast could not choose its own death once suppressed. Luo Feng calmly explained that he had no intention of letting Morosa die, emphasizing that the Star Tower's greatest strength was its absolute suppression, making both escape and death nearly impossible once trapped. This also deepened Luo Feng's suspicion about the tower's origin, as he no longer believed it was personally created by Sitting Mountain Guest, instead suspecting it to be an ancient treasure from the Jin kingdom, possibly once belonging to the godly king of Jin or another supreme existence. Morosa mocked Luo Feng's belief that imprisoning it could prevent the birth of the ultimate sector beast king. But Luo Feng laid out his reasoning clearly. As long as one sector beast remained alive yet could neither die nor be devoured, even if all others slaughtered each other until only one remained, that final survivor could never become the true king because Morosa would still exist, meaning the conditions for the king's birth would never be fulfilled, leaving a chance of survival for the universe ocean. Morosa rejected this logic, insisting that the final battle between itself and the last surviving sector beast was inevitable and dictated by fate. Then refused to reveal any information about the number or strength of sector beasts in the hive, mocking Luo Feng repeatedly and even provoking him to kill it. Rather than reacting with anger, Luo Feng chose a different approach and decided to enslave Morosa instead, reasoning that doing so would grant him absolute control, access to all of Morosa's knowledge, and a crucial strategic advantage in understanding the sector beast race. Even considering the possibility of nurturing Morosa into the ultimate king under his control despite the difficulty, he immediately began the process by releasing a triangular beam of light into Morosa's body to initiate soul enslavement using top-tier techniques from the Duan-Dong River inheritance and the world of Jin. However, the attempt failed in an unexpected way. The techniques dissipated after entering Morosa's body without encountering resistance, neither succeeding nor being actively blocked. This anomaly led Luo Feng to analyze the situation, eventually discovering that sector beasts possessed a unique internal structure known as the sector, which protected the soul and nullified external forms of power. Understanding this, Luo Feng adjusted his method by simulating the power of a sector beast itself. This time, his technique successfully penetrated deeper into Morosa's body and reached the sector, allowing him to directly confront Morosa's soul for the first time. A fierce internal struggle followed, as Luo Feng attempted to bind the soul while Morosa resisted with immense willpower enhanced by the sector's protection. And although Luo Feng made significant progress, The technique ultimately collapsed after a prolonged stalemate, leading to another failure. Even so, this confirmed that his new approach was correct, and the issue lay only in the strength of his technique rather than the method itself. While Morosa, though shaken by Luo Feng's ability to wield sector beast power without becoming one, continued to mock him and believed that success was impossible. Refusing to give up, Luo Feng fully suppressed Morosa under multiple layers of power, preventing any chance of self-destruction and isolating it within a controlled space. Then shifted his focus entirely to cultivation. He directed most of his consciousness into a godly power avatar placed within a high-speed time flow environment where time passed millions of times faster, allowing him to rapidly study and refine advanced techniques. During this period, he began learning a powerful illusion-based soul enslaving technique called 3-star sector, created by a supreme being from the world of Jinn, which specialized in trapping a target's soul within layered illusions and gradually enslaving it without relying on direct force. Due to its complexity and depth, Luo Feng spent over a year mastering the first level, strengthening his foundation and greatly improving his understanding of soul control. Meanwhile, his allies grew concerned about his prolonged absence, unaware that he was entirely focused on developing a method to counter the sector beast threat. After completing his training, Luo Feng emerged with significantly enhanced abilities and renewed confidence, then made another attempt to enslave Morosa. This time, he combined his improved technique with precise execution, sending a waterdrop-shaped crystal into Morosa's eye, directly targeting its soul through the sector. A brief but intense mental struggle followed, and unlike before, Luo Feng's technique held firm, successfully overwhelming Morosa's resistance and completing the enslavement. Morosa immediately became completely loyal, addressing Luo Feng as its master while still retaining all of its previous memories and knowledge, making it an invaluable asset. However, the moment the enslavement was completed, a supreme law was triggered, sending a powerful ripple across Luo Feng's miniature universe as a warning that enslaving a sector beast violated fundamental rules and would bring consequences far away. Sitting mountain guests sensed this disturbance and realized that a major event affecting the universe ocean had occurred. At the same time, within the sector beast hive, all remaining sector beasts instantly sensed the change through their innate connection, realizing that Morosa had been enslaved and was no longer one of them but an enemy. This revelation provoked collective fury, and for the first time, the entire hive unified in hostility toward a single target, Luo Feng. Furthermore, Morosa had previously spread detailed information about Luo Feng to all sector beasts, including his strength, the danger posed by the Star Tower, and the fact that Morosa had been completely suppressed and unable to resist or self-destruct, unintentionally warning the entire hive and amplifying the threat Luo Feng now faced as he stood against the combined hostility of all remaining sector beasts. Luo Feng questions Morosa about the sector beast hive and learns that originally 1 billion sector beasts were born, evolving by devouring each other in a fixed progression until only one ultimate king remains. From this process, higher-level beasts emerge from large numbers of lower-level ones, and at present nearly 10 million still survive, most at level 2 with only a few at level 4, showing that the evolution is still in its early stages but already accelerating due to Luo Feng's existence. Through this, Luo Feng deduces the overall evolution pattern and realizes that although only a tiny fraction can reach higher stages, the speed of their growth has increased dramatically, making the threat far more urgent than expected. Morosa then explains the abilities of each stage in detail. The first stage possesses basic abilities such as splitting bodies and devouring miniature universe origins. The second stage gains the blood-burning technique, greatly boosting combat power without harming its origin. The third stage acquires the sector light passageway, an escape technique using time-space energy but one that damages the origin. The fourth stage forms the sector light domain, enhancing control over surrounding space and increasing strength. The fifth stage unlocks the powerful destruction technique capable of destroying miniature universes at a massive energy cost. And the sixth stage gains the ability to split into 10 million bodies, ensuring survival and making it almost impossible to eliminate completely. A sixth stage beast will inevitably slaughter its rivals and is almost guaranteed to become the final king unless it is stopped early, either by destroying its soul, preventing its birth by killing fifth stage beasts, or relying on the natural rules that force them into final battles. In the end, Only one sector beast can survive and become king. And once born, it becomes unstoppable and can even produce warriors stronger than sixth-stage beings. Luo Feng realizes the immense danger posed by this system, especially after Morosa warns that all sector beasts now regard Luo Feng as their greatest enemy due to Morosa's submission, meaning they may unite against him while their evolution accelerates drastically, reducing the time needed for a king to emerge from countless eras to only several 100,000 eras. With top individuals like Betty already at level 4 and capable of reaching level 5 within 10 eras and level 6 within 100 eras. At which point it would quickly eliminate all others and become the final king. Because of this, Morosa urges Luo Feng to act as soon as possible. Understanding the severity of the situation, Luo Feng begins making comprehensive preparations. In the world of Jin, his godly-powered avatar remains in the East Army camp where he accesses the military exchange system and requests a list of all true god-level treasures. Finally deciding to spend the vast amount of military credits he had accumulated over countless eras in order to obtain resources specifically suited to combating sector beasts, while also keeping in mind that he could rely on the godly king of Jin if necessary. At the same time, in the original universe, Luo Feng takes further strategic measures by constructing 3 massive universe portals within the Milky Way Holy Land that connect directly to his miniature universe, which is over 1,000 times larger than those of others at the same level and capable of housing countless lifeforms. These portals are intended as safe passages for humanity and allied races when the universe era ends. And he assigns 3 true gods along with more than 100 universe masters to guard them and manage all affairs, delegating authority and instructing that only major matters be reported to Primal Chaos City leader before announcing his seclusion. Inside Star Tower, Luo Feng begins his most critical preparation, fully aware that directly attacking the hive with over 10 million sector beasts would be extremely dangerous and could result in instant annihilation if they attacked together. So he decides that before taking action he must master one of the strongest inheritance techniques from Duan Dong River, Undying River, which grants the ability to resurrect after death and serves as a safeguard against total destruction. He immerses himself in intense training using the black striped stone pillar where time flows 10 million times faster, continuously refining his techniques such as the Divine Eye Secret technique and studying the principles of the Lai Yuan technique in advance so he can master it instantly once his willpower reaches the required level, while also carefully maintaining and enhancing his key treasures, wuxia God, Shi Wu Wang, and Star Tower to ensure peak performance. Within his miniature universe, Luo Feng completes a crucial step of the Undying River technique by entering the origin space where 100.000 stars orbit a central whirlpool and creating a drop of golden blood containing his complete life imprint. This drop serves as the core of the technique, allowing him to absorb energy and reconstruct his body if he is killed, though creating it requires more than 1,000 years of effort. And after completing it he places it into the central whirlpool for preservation, gaining confidence that even death will not end him. After 1.890 years since enslaving Morosa, Luo Feng finalizes his decision to set out and meets only Primal Chaos City leader before leaving, choosing not to inform his family or others so as not to worry them, and assuring his teacher that he has means to survive regardless of the outcome. Though the danger remains immense, he then departs silently with no one else aware of his mission. As he travels through the universe ocean aboard Star Tower, he carefully plans his next steps, intending to first return to the world of Jin when it reopens in order to exchange more military credits for powerful treasures before heading to the Land of Darkness where the hive is located. Regarding Morosa, Luo Feng decides it cannot accompany him into the Land of Darkness because other sector beasts would immediately sense its presence and expose him. So instead Morosa will remain outside as a scout to monitor their movements and report information. Luo Feng also considers sending Morosa to Purple Moon Holy Land using the Boat of Mausoleum to devour it, both to eliminate a hostile force and gather intelligence. But Morosa explains that devouring the Holy Land is extremely slow due to its immense strength, potentially taking up to 100.000 years. So given the urgency of the sector beast threat, Luo Feng ultimately orders Morosa to remain hidden within his miniature universe and wait for further instructions while he prioritizes dealing with the greater danger first.